It's certainly great to see everybody here again. I missed you all since January 1st. I think you know how much. But it's also great to have signed 18 players to join the Crimson Tide with their letters of intent today. And we have 8 players that are here, and I don't want to in any way not acknowledge the fact that we're happy that they're here, and we're also happy that Jacob Coker will join us, you know, in May when he graduates and has an opportunity to come in and compete for the quarterback job. But I think the biggest thing is this day is really an accumulation of a lot of hard work and a lot of time spent by a whole bunch of people. You know, we recruit as a team here. A lot of people make a great contribution to that team. And you know, we're very pleased and happy with the character and quality of the people that we're able to attract here, as well as the ability that they have academically and athletically. But you know, it starts out with, you know, the assistant coaches, the good job that they do of identifying talent, that we identify, and people that meet the needs of what we need, the critical factors that we look at every position, and then go out and do a great job of developing relationships with these young men and their families so that they fully understand what their opportunities are when they come to the University of Alabama. I think our players do a great job of connecting with these, you know, young players so that they feel, you know, at home here. And I think that's a very important factor for them to integrate into the team, you know, that they have good relationships and connect with the players that are here so they understand sort of the Bama way. But we have a lot of people here in our administration, in our university community, who work very hard, you know, to help us recruit. You know, Dr. Witt's philosophy is everybody, you know, pitches in. Dr. Bonner was there every weekend when we had recruits in and spoke to those, you know, young men and their families. And you know, Bill Battle did a fantastic job of being there every week to, you know, speak to all these prospects and their families. And people in the university community who take their Saturdays, week in and week out, to come over and discuss academic opportunities that these young men are interested in, so they understand, you know, what they can accomplish in developing a career off the field, which is the most important thing that they do when they're here. So I think the important thing to having this kind of recruiting class, which we feel sort of satisfies the needs that we have, and I'm sure that every coach that stands up here today and talks about their recruiting class, I've never heard anybody said they had a bad class. I've never heard anybody not say they didn't identify their needs. So I'm going to say the same thing. You know, we had a good class and we sort of identified our needs. But I think the key to that is that we satisfied our needs because we identified those needs early on in the recruiting process and evaluated the players that we thought fit in best for what we want to do. And I think that we did a good job of going out and getting a lot of those players. But we thought we needed linemen on both sides of the ball. We felt we were a little thin last year in both of those areas. You know, quarterback obviously is a critical position in any program, and we're very excited about the 2 young men that we have coming in at those positions. We're thin in the secondary last year. We felt like we got some really good players at that position. And one of the goals that we have was to get a little more fast twitch, quicker body type guys to play on the edges for us. We play against a lot more spread. And I felt between the outside backer types that we got, as well as some of the more athletic kind of defensive ends that we got, that maybe we satisfied that need as well. We also needed a punter, and we feel good about the punter that we were able to attract, you know, in this class. I think that I would be remiss not to acknowledge, you know, the role that our fans have as being a part of the team. I think the great atmosphere that they create in Bryant-Denny Stadium when we play games, when we have a lot of recruits there, the atmosphere in the A-Day game when we set attendance records, shows the kind of passion and interest that people have for Alabama football, and how exciting that makes it for young people who want to be a part of, you know, the football program here at the University of Alabama. So can't really comment much about the rankings, guys, because I really do think that the most accurate way to be able to rank any recruiting class would be 3 years down the road. Because I think the challenge for all these young men that got recruited today, wherever they're going, is to be able to stay focused on what they need to do to improve as players and do the things that they need to do to become very effective college football players. And it is a challenge to go from high school to college, maybe the biggest challenge of all, maybe even more so than going from college to the NFL. And I think having the maturity to be able to stay focused on the things that they need to do to develop as players and keep a positive attitude toward the goal that they have. Understand what it takes to accomplish the goal that they have, and then have the discipline to execute it every day probably is going to be one of the most challenging things that we need to help each and every one of these young men do. So, and the same thing goes for developing a career off the field in academics. But again, I would like to thank everybody who worked so hard to help bring this class together, and you know, the staff of people that we have here that are going to work very hard to help these young men be successful in their careers and have a better opportunity to be successful in life because they were involved in the program through the personal development programs that we have, the academic support programs that we have, the coaches and staff that work hard to develop these guys as players, and all the alumni support that we have out there that really helps these guys launch their career when they leave here and get the best opportunities in life. So we're excited about today, and we're excited to have the opportunity to work with the quality young men that we were able to attract here in this recruiting class.
Weeks ago, there was a video leaked of you doing the electric slide during recruiting and stuff like that. I'm just wondering, you know, there's pictures of the coaches always on social media throughout recruiting. Has recruiting changed much at all with this stuff, or is it just we're seeing that more of it now because of the social media?
Well, we've been having that party forever since I've been a head coach. And I've been doing the electric slide since I was probably 15. That's the first time I made YouTube or whatever you call this social media stuff you got out there. So I guess it's changing. Times are changing, you know. I'm just sorry they didn't get me doing the wobble too, because I can do that pretty
well. Coach Sean Hamilton, just what does he bring coming here?
Well, you know, we really need to have guys like Sean Dion. I mean, he's a really good physical, balanced body control, athletic guy who can take on blockers and has range as a player. And inside linebackers are an area that, you know, we felt we didn't have a lot of depth at. He's a very bright guy, which I think that's a position where calls are made and responsibility for leadership are necessary, and he's very strong in those two areas as well.
This is the second year in a row that you guys have gone into Auburn High School and got one of the top prospects in the state away from Auburn University. Just are those recruiting battles with Auburn on their home turf especially difficult, and why do you think you guys have had some success there the last couple of years?
Well, you know, as soon as Rashawn committed to us today, Reuben Foster called me and absolutely said that he was a much better recruiter than I was, and he was really responsible for that. So maybe you should ask him that question. But you know, I really don't think that it makes a lot of difference where a guy's from. What we try to focus on here is the opportunity that a young man has here. And sometimes guys are just a little better fit for what they're looking for, maybe what the critical factors of development that they might have, you know, through their college career and how they can contribute in a program that makes one place a little better than the other. And I don't think it's really anything about where you're from, but I do think that we're excited to have both young men here. You know, Reuben's going to be a very good player for us, and we're excited about Rashawn, who not only is a fantastic athlete and exactly what we're looking for in terms of the more athletic, fast twitch edge player who can rush, but also has great character, is a really good person, and I think will provide leadership in our program that will be beneficial to us being successful in the future.
Nick, I know he wasn't on staff for the entire recruiting class, but what kind of job did Lane do, hitting the road with you for the first month he was here?
Well, I think first of all, Lane's got an outstanding reputation out there as a football coach and as a recruiter, and he's got a lot of relationships that is built up through his, recruiting at various schools where he's coached. But I think it's very important that you have the kind of offensive coordinator, quarterback coach that you can sort of recruit to, someone that young people want to play in that style of offense. And I think that was actually an asset for us, that Lane was an asset for us in helping, get some of the offensive players that we were able to attract. Does a really good job of presenting to the players how they're going to be used, in the offense, so they have a very clear picture of what their future might be. So I think it was a real positive asset for us in the short time that he was involved in recruiting this class.
Marlon Humphrey was another big addition late in this class. How does he fit in, and with Tony Brown, how does that dynamic work with those two?
Well, we have two corners that play most of the time, and sometimes three. So then it's not like they're playing the same position. But and I like both guys because they're big, they're long, and they've got great long speed. And the way we play here, the guys that you've seen that were first-round draft picks, we had 3 years in a row where we had them. They all sort of fit that criteria of guy, and that's the type of guys that we really like. Because when you play up on people, I think it's important to have those characteristics. You got to have ball skills, you got to be able to tackle, but I'm saying to play like we play and to play man-to-man, I think both those guys fit very well. Now I'm sure that we're anxious to help them develop and improve so that they make the transition to college and they're comfortable and confident when they go out there and play, that they understand what their job is, and we're just looking forward to working with them, and I think both those guys are going to be real assets to the program here.
Coach, last week, A.J. McCarron in an interview said that, quote, in the end, success was our killer. He mentioned some of the young guys didn't buy in. He mentioned some five-star guys came in expecting to play right off the bat, felt entitled, and when they didn't get to play right off the bat, they got a little ticked off and they didn't want to work. Do you agree with that assessment? Was that an issue last year?
Well, no, I don't think it was an issue on the field because none of those guys were out there playing. They weren't out there playing. And I think if it was an issue for any of our players that were playing, then they need to check their sort of maturity level, because the guys that they were out there playing with, did not have that issue. And I think this is the transition that every young man has to go through. You all in the media have started all this five-star, we rate them in the top 100, all these expectations get created for a guy when he's 17 or 18 years old, right? And then he comes to college with these maybe unrealistic expectations of the kind of success that he's going to be able to have immediately before he has an opportunity to learn and develop in whatever position he plays, so that he can be a confident, knowledgeable guy that can go out and play winning football at his position. So it's natural for some of these guys to get a little bit frustrated, and we've had it every year since we've been here, all right, when they don't have the success that they hope to have. Now, we want everybody to have high goals and aspirations for what they want to accomplish here. We just want to be realistic about what they need to do to be able to accomplish those goals, and to understand that the competition here is actually going to help them be successful and help them going to be better. So I don't see that. I'm not saying that there weren't some young guys that were frustrated with how much they got to play relative to what their expectation was, but it was no different than it was every other year. But I am saying that if that bothered any of our older players who have leadership qualities, who should be setting an example for the young guys and actually helping to connect with them, because when they were freshmen, they had some of the same issues. You know, so I can remember when AJ came up in my office all upset because he was the third team quarterback in the first scrimmage. So, you know, but sometimes we forget, you know, what it was like to be a teenager. You know, do you have children? Teenagers?
Not anymore.
Well, when they were, we sometimes forget what it's like to be a teenager. So the emphasis around here has always been, with our players as well as our coaches, is to develop the kind of relationships to connect with the young people, to try to help them integrate into being a part of our team and understanding why we do the things that we do so that they have a chance to be successful. And if there's any failing there, it's a failing of all of ours that we didn't do a good enough job with a few of the players last year who were frustrated. Now, I think they're all going to learn from that experience, and we're going to look forward to them, you know, contributing to our team in the future.
Coaches,